All right, the 49ers just beat the Vikings 17-7, although we don't care about the score all too much. It was week 2 of the preseason, and before the Kyle Shanahan press conference, along with, I would assume, Nate Sudfeld, Brock Purdy, and others from Minnesota, just a quick, instant reaction to this football game. Nate Sudfeld and Brock Purdy, both of the 49ers backup quarterbacks, were sharp today. I mean, you saw on the TV broadcast, Tim Ryan was trying to, debate with himself who looked better at the end. I think he came to the conclusion that Nate Sudfeld was a little bit better, but they were both really, really good. 13-17 for Sudfeld, 102 yards. Purdy, 14-23 for 128, but 4 dropped passes of Brock Purdy throws. So he would have been, with those 4 catches, 18 of 23 for $150, maybe even a little bit more. I thought Purdy was really good throwing accuracy wise while he was moving, but just really good news for the 49ers. You have both of these guys who are essentially 70% guys during training camp, showing that wasn't an aberration. And the 49ers, I think, feel good about the backup quarterback position. We'll talk later about how they're going to have to work this out on the 53-man roster, because if a guy like Purdy is going to make it, well, that takes up another roster spot, right? So do you try to risk it and sneak him through to the practice squad? It gets harder and harder with performances like this, because I'll tell you what, the league will see the film that Brock Purdy put on tape today in Minnesota, and they will take notice. Offensive line play, this is another thing about the quarterbacks today. They played well. O-line play wasn't great. Nothing to freak out about, because the 49ers started Keaton Sutherland at center. They didn't start either of Trent Williams or Mike McGlinchey at tackle. The only 2 starters were Aaron Banks at left guard and Spencer Burford at right guard. So we need to pay attention to how Banks and Burford did. And just a quick glance, naked eye, I thought that Spencer Burford was a lot better in pass protection than he was in week 1. Remember, Banks didn't give up a single pressure in week 1. Now, this is something I'm going to withhold judgment on until I watch the game tape tonight. So I will report back to you on how Banks and Burford looked. Sounds like a law firm, right? Especially when you add in Brendel, Banks, and Burford. How Banks and Burford, the 2 young guys, looked, that's going to be the key to this game as far as offensive line eval, and that's something that we'll have after we watch the game tape. Samuel Womack, oh God, this guy's a stud, and they ran him on 2 straight shark blitzes, the ones that K'Wan Williams made famous for the 49ers. He was so good at. The first 2 shark blitzes out of the nickel for Samuel Womack were successes, pressures on both of them, and the second one generated an interception there to George Odom. So that, that stood out to me, because I've been wondering, what are the 49ers going to do to, make up for the fact they don't have K'Wan Williams blitzing anymore? I know Womack's really good in coverage, but what about the blitzing skills? Well, today that started off on a good foot. Who said that Drake Jackson doesn't have a quick twitch? The guy was all over the field today, exploding off the football. But as far as twitchiness goes, second half, I believe it was Kellen Mond in at quarterback for the Vikings. Drake Jackson didn't beat his block on this particular play. Throw at pretty close range to him, was going his direction, trying to go over Jackson's head. And his reaction time was awesome. Just shot his arm up, knocked the ball away, got the tip on the play. And Drake Jackson, to me, they talk about his athleticism, his bend, but some people say he's not twitchy. He looked pretty twitchy to me today. Happy birthday to Charles Omenihu. There's not supposed to be a question mark there. That's a typo, but I'm in a hurry right now. 25 years old, Omenihu, nice run stop early. I mean, this guy, he's a Kasarik product, right? There was a 2-snap sequence in the first half where you had Omenihu and Jordan Willis. Omenihu with the run stop, Jordan Willis with the pressure to force a 3-and-out. These are the 2 guys the 49ers picked up for peanuts in trades in 2020 with Jordan Willis at the trade deadline, 2021, Omenihu at the trade deadline. Give him to Chris Kasarik. He'll make something work with both of those players. Mitch Wishnowsky, nice punt, pinned it in there to the 1-yard line. That's a good sign for the 49ers. Ty Davis-Price, first carry there in the that first 4th down carry in the first half. Well, it wasn't a good one, right? He was dancing around a little bit, and then he's 220 pounds. What is he doing? Not taking the inside crease on 4th and short. And then he tried to run outside, and a DB stood him up. At 220, you can't let a DB who's like 30 pounds lighter than you stand you up. And I was really disappointed with that carry. That was uninspiring. But then the rest of the game, Ty Davis-Price, I'm sure Anthony Lynn, 49ers running backs coach, got into his ear and said, hey, you need to run downhill. You're bigger. We drafted you because you're big. You're 220 plus. Run downhill, and he was popping pads after that. And he also has some shiftiness at the line of scrimmage, right? He's not just a 220-pound beer truck. The guy can move, can dance if he needs to, but more often than not, if he's running downhill, that's where Ty Davis-Price is going to be at his strongest. Jason Poe, the Lord of leverage. Bowling ball, low to the ground. You saw him pancake the defensive end on that one play. I mean, opposing defensive linemen aren't used to an offensive lineman who has such a low center of gravity. And that's what Jason Poe is all about. It's going to be a long shot for the 53-man roster. But boy, I think that Poe is more deserving of that spot than somebody like Justin School or even Jordan Mills. Now, I get it. They're probably going to need a tackle, right? They're going to need a backup tackle. But Colton McKivitz seems like the favored guy for that job. He didn't even dress today. And Daniel Brunskill can play tackle as well for the 49ers. He was their swing tackle in 2019. So I think that, Brunskill's versatility, if Brendel wins center, gives you the option and the flexibility to carry Jason Poe on the 53. That would be what I do, because I didn't like Justin School today and I didn't like Jordan Mills today. Javon Kinlaw is back and with a vengeance. Have you ever seen Nick Bosa as happy as he was when Javon Kinlaw came trotting off that field? I mean, it's comical to think that people said back in 2019 that Bosa might not be a good teammate. I mean, this guy, he's just beaming, so happy for his teammates. But that is just joy personified, right? And you see why, because Javon Kinlaw is a man who's been through a lot that's not his fault. Injury issues, tried to play through a torn ACL last year, finally had it properly diagnosed, got the surgery. It's been a rough go of it for 2 seasons, injury-wise, for Javon Kinlaw. He has overcome. He's healthy. He's spry. And today he had that sack that elated Bosa. And, he was just too good for the Vikings to block and the Vikings second-teamers to block. But they had to keep him in there, the 49ers did, because he's learning how to trust that knee again. And I think it's a really, really good thing to see. Finally, Brock Purdy. I have not seen a quarterback under Kyle Shanahan as a rookie look as comfortable in the field general role as Purdy has so far throughout preseason and now training camp. I mean, go back to Beathard, Mullins, obviously Trey Lance last year. Trey had a lot of work last year because he was so raw coming out of North Dakota State. Purdy's played a lot in college, and you could tell. He's really impressive the way that he commands that huddle. All right, I'm going to be back with more later, obviously. I wanted to give you guys a quick 7 to 8 minute rundown of this 17-7 49ers win. That's the main bullet points. We'll talk more Trey Sermon, Jordan Mason, the running backs a little bit later. I need some time to watch some game tape, and I want to analyze the quarterbacks a little bit further. And obviously Spencer Burford and Aaron Banks, those are 2 guys that deserve some press time as well, depending on how they did today. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't like to do knee-jerk evaluations. I like to watch the tape. So I'm going to watch the tape, and we'll be back with you. Make sure to sub to The Athletic, sub to the channel. We'll talk to you all soon. Kyle Shanahan presser about to start. Everybody have a good next few, hours, minutes. Whenever I see you again, I'll see you again. Everybody take care.